What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Draft Hub. Today, we are going to be taking a look at my preseason rankings for my top 15 edge rushers for the 2027 NFL Draft. Yes, I know that the season, technically, if you follow FCS football, has started already at the time of recording or at the time that you are watching this video. But I'm probably going to wind up going with my preseason quote unquote rankings until about I would say I'll probably be done with them by the time week one rolls around. I don't really count week zero as like a real week. I think that's so silly, but I do love college football, so I'm glad that it is officially back. But yes, the preseason quote unquote rankings will be around until about week one for the most part, because I think after this, I'll have about five, maybe six other videos for my positional rankings before the season actually starts. So yeah, this is a talented group. We just did the corners. Now I want to do edge rushers. I did defensive tackles like 2 or 3 months ago, quarterbacks as well. This is a really, really talented group. And there are a couple of guys that at the top that are, very clearly one and two, but there's a lot of talented guys. I'm talking about the 15 that I mentioned could very well go in the top 100. And I'm not exaggerating. And not only that, the other, so it's a random number. I think I have 7 or 8 honorable mentions because there was a couple I just couldn't, you know, I couldn't choose between. I usually only highlight 5 honorable mentions, but I went with 7 this time around. But yeah, these guys can go in the top 150 too. So it's a very, very good group overall. But before we get into this video, if you enjoy these rankings videos, college football content, NFL draft content in general, NFL content, and transfer portal news, I am your guy. As soon as the NFL season rolls around, I try and upload every single day. So there's no shortage of content. So if you guys appreciate that, enjoy this type of content, please leave a like and subscribe as I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers before the 2027 NFL draft. So with your help today, that's certainly possible. Now let's roll into the honorable mentions here. So I have 7 of them, as I mentioned before. Adam Trick from Texas Tech, Dylan LaBarbera from Nevada, Anto Saka from Texas A&M, Cameron Crawford from USC, Donnie Smith from Troy, Lance Rucker from North Dakota, and Boubacar Traore from Notre Dame, starting from the bottom down. And I just want to say that there's probably going to be a couple guys that I did not mention that very well can be on this list. And it's like I said, it's preseason rankings. Things can obviously change as time goes on. I usually do a preseason ranking, a midseason ranking, and then usually around the end of the NFL combine is usually when I'll release my final ranking. So obviously, this has plenty of time to change overall. Now, starting from the bottom to the top, and this is in no particular order either. Boubacar Traore, phenomenal. 6'5", 253 pounds, long, athletic frame, excellent room to edge strength as well. Had a really nice 2025 season, 6.5 sacks. Actually led the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in sacks, 6.5 and 11 TFL as well, adding 37 tackles overall. An explosive, good athlete with really, really solid bend and speed around the edge. This is someone that I think that as long as he can continue to add strength to his frame, I think he'll be able to really make a difference against NFL caliber tackles. Lance Rucker is a player that I have highlighted quite a bit on this channel. Actually, if you're watching this on Friday when this releases, I actually had a NFL Draft Gems short about Lance Rucker yesterday on Thursday as well. There's, I really do. I value FCS prospects probably a lot higher than some other guys do. I think as long as these guys can get a shot, I think that they will obviously make good. But Lance Rucker, it's unfortunate he is going to miss a good chunk of 2026 due to injury, potentially a fractured ankle. But this man was borderline exceptional for North Dakota Fighting Hawks last year. 6'3", 245 pounds, athletic, compact frame, excellent flexibility and bend overall with that first step explosiveness. He had a phenomenal season last year, one of the best in North Dakota history in terms of a defensive end or an outside linebacker. 64 tackles, 15 TFLs, 11.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. Like I said, as long as he can come back from that injury, I think that he's someone that I would 100% take a top 150 pick on as someone that can be a very talented, specific pass rusher. A designated pass rusher with the chance to, kind of grow as a more of a three down player. Moving on to Donnie Smith, this is a very very exciting player. So he's long and lean, 6'4", 234 pounds. He was phenomenal last year. Led the Sun Belt in sacks. He had 44 tackles overall. He had 11 and a half sacks, 36 pressures, earned first team all Sun Belt honors as well. He's someone that is just the long, lean quickness. There's a lot of guys. It's so funny. There's like two very specific frames in this draft class. It's either you get the long, lean, fast guys, or you get the big, thick guys that could even reduce inside and maybe even play some three tack if necessary. But yeah, Donnie Smith is one of those guys who's basically relatively new. I mean, he flashed on the scene with Troy last year. That was his first year in the FBS, and he lit the world on fire. I firmly expect him to continue to grow into that role at only 235 pounds. If he could add about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle or just lean mass overall, I think you're looking at someone that definitely can be a game changer on Sundays. Cameron Crawford is another player here that exceptional size, 6', 155 pounds, athletic, significant development upside. Is definitely a breakout candidate. I'd say he maybe didn't have the most impressive season compared to some other guys on this list last year. 1 tackles, 10.5 TFLs, 5.5 sacks last year, leading USC in sacks. They are not really known for a lot of their defense nowadays, but he was very, very good. But he needs to be a little bit more consistent in his pass rush refinement as well. He's more of a building block. I'd like to see him at 6'5", only 255. He could probably add about 10 pounds on, I'd say, and he'd be more of a complete edge rusher at the NFL level. But man, there's a lot to like from Cameron Crawford there. Anto Saka went famously viral the other day for his interview for Texas A&M. People are saying that he looked like he was at least 30 years old, and he does basically look like a grown-ass man out there. But Saka is an interesting one, transferring from Northwestern to Texas A&M. He had a good season last year for Northwestern's 6'4", 255 pounds. He's long, he's athletic, good movement skills. He's really more of a developmental guy. We've been seeing it for the last couple of years, I'd say. He accumulated 12 sacks and 14 TFLs over the last couple of years with Northwestern. Not the most impressive numbers overall, but like I said, he's more of a projection type of guy, banking off of that athleticism and that explosive first step and good pass rush instincts as well. As I've mentioned before, I've mentioned with corners, interceptions are not the end all be all. And for edge rushers, sacks are not the end all be all as well. But I do think he needs to be way more consistent and he needs to produce a little bit more in terms of the sack numbers for me to get a little bit more excited about him overall. I know some people that actually have him as a fringe first round guy. I don't see it just yet, but there's certainly room for improvement. Next, I have Dylan LaBarbera from Nevada. This guy is awesome. Really interesting build. 6'1", 250 pounds. He's shorter, but he's compact and he has a really, really powerful lower half. So at 6'1", 250, he could certainly win the leverage game because he's very, very strong for 250 pounds as well. He had an amazing season last year. He had 87 tackles, 17 TFLs, 6.5 sacks, leading the Mountain West in TFLs and earning first team all Mountain West honors last year. He's relentless. The motor never stops. He's physical and he's fantastic against the run as well. So this is someone that I think that is kind of getting overlooked as someone because Nevada doesn't really produce a ton of NFL level prospects. But LaBarbera is someone that I really do think if he has a similar season this year that he did last year, man, I think we're in for a treat as someone that could be a real sleeper in this class. And then the last guy I wanted to mention that just missed out on my top 15 is Adam Trick, 6'4", 250 pounds, long, athletic, good functional play strength as well. One of the more productive group of five edge rushers over the last couple of years for the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. He had 67 pressures and 8 sacks last year. Phenomenal season for him as well. But I would like to see, so the big question here is overall, can he get to that elite level of play strength as well? He's got the good athleticism. He's got the length as well. Got a good first step, but the overall strength is in question. And again, can he do it against Power 4 opponents as well? We'll figure it out this year, but Texas Tech have a pretty dang good track record of being able to flip these group of 5 or group of 6 rather guys and turn them into machines at the Power 4 level. Moving on to the top 15 here, and coming in at number 15, I have Taylor Wen from Oklahoma. The Sooner last year actually quietly had a very, very productive season for them. I mean, that defensive line was just absolutely absurd from top to bottom, and it is shaping up to be absolutely absurd from top to bottom yet again. He had 39 total tackles, 15 TFLs, 7 sacks, an interception, and a forced fumble last year. Really kind of came on the scene and really produced very, very well. Got a very interesting build. So this is what I was talking about before with this class has a very distinctive players where you guys they have guys that are long and lean in that like 6'4", 6'5", 240-pound territory, and then you got Taylor Wen, who's 6'4", 270 pounds. He's extremely well built. He's an excellent fit for a multiple front defense because he could rush from the edge, he could play heavier alignments, he could play on the inside as well as he lines up all over the place for Oklahoma as well. Very, very excellent season. Can even drop into coverage. Definitely has the athleticism because you look at his frame. You're looking at this photo right now. This doesn't look like a guy that's 6'4", 270 pounds. He wears it extremely well, and he doesn't sacrifice any athleticism either. He's a phenomenal overall player, and I can't wait to see the development. He is asterisk just a little bit because of the players that were around him last year. You know, you think R. Mason Thomas was a top 50 pick. He played for Oklahoma last year. David Stone is, at least for me, a consensus top 10 pick. There are a couple other interior defensive linemen that are really, really good that could push the issue for Taylor Wen to get into more one-on-one scenarios. But I think with his overall alignment versatility at his unique frame and the production, I think that he's someone that definitely can continue to grow and get better and maybe even move up, a little bit more in this list as it goes on. So at number 14, I have Wendell Gregory from Kansas State now. So this is a picture from last year from Oklahoma State. He transferred from Oklahoma State to play for the Wildcats this year. And, there really wasn't a lot to love about the Oklahoma State Cowboys last year and Mike Gundy's last year. But there was one shining light, and that was Wendell Gregory, and he did capitalize on that and transfer to a team that I think is a little bit more defensive end friendly in Kansas State. 6'3", 265 pounds, has a very, very nice size, strength, overall ability, compact, thick build, good power for his size as well, really, really drives through that lower half and really extends through his arms as well. The power packages is very, very impressive from Gregory. He was very good. Um, so, he obviously needs to improve overall his pass rush ceiling against better tackles rather. And he's someone that needs to get just a little bit more consistent, but he is a stalwart against the run. He had 12 TFLs last year. He did have 4 sacks, but again, sacks are not the end all be all. I think with better players around him, he was playing with one of the worst Oklahoma State teams we've seen in quite some time. So I think with better interior players around him at Kansas State, he'll be able to develop and get into more one-on-one scenarios and really, really do well as a pass rusher. But as an edge setter, we've seen it before. We've seen guys that aren't really great pass rushers. If you could set the edge, like look at Clelin Ferrell, for instance. He was the 4th overall pick. I forget what year that was. But he has made a career of just being a guy that bounces from team to team to team as a guy that plays a lot of snaps because he's very good at setting the edge. He's not a very good overall pass rusher for the edge rushing position, but he's someone that could set the edge and is a very, very sound run defender. And Wendell Gregory and Keldrick Falk last year went in the first round as someone that maybe we haven't seen his best pass rush ability, but he's a very, very good run defender. So I think Wendell Gregory kind of falls in that as well with someone that with better players around him, if he can get to that 7, 7.5, 8 sack category this year, I think we're looking at someone that does come out relatively early with some eligibility left, and he can definitely make a name for himself later on in the draft. Moving on to number 13, I have Princewell Umanmielen from LSU. Now, he followed Lane Kiffin over from Ole Miss to LSU. A lot of transfers on this list as well. And he had a very, very solid season for Ole Miss last year. Truly broke out. He had 9 sacks and 13 TFLs. He has the legitimate bend, acceleration, and pass rush instincts you're looking for a guy that's a little bit on the leaner side. I don't really know where I lean with him because he's 6'4", 256 pounds. He's long. He's extremely athletic. He doesn't look like he's 256 pounds. So he definitely has enough room on that frame to add strength. He's very, very lean in the midsection there. I'd like to see him get just a little bit more meat on him because he can win in a lot of different ways. He's not just reliant on his speed. He's surprisingly strong for his size as well. But I like this move a lot for him to go to LSU because I feel like he'll get in the spotlight a little bit more. I think I can't even say that the defensive line for LSU is going to be better than Ole Miss because I mean they've been really phenomenal in developing players over the last few years, and they also have Will Eccles on the defensive line that I think is another interior defensive lineman that could be a top 15 pick. So Uman Milan I think is going to benefit from going over to they have what Jordan Ross on the edge on the other side for LSU as well. So they definitely have bona fide pass rushers on the interior off the edge. I think he's going to be very, very good. But like I said, I think he does need to upgrade his play against the run. That is something that I will highlight that I think he needs to get better at. He's more of a pure pass rusher at this point. But I think under Lane Kiffin and under all these guys, all the tutelage, I think that he will be able to continue to develop his game into more of a 3-down player. But for right now, Uman Milan might fall a little bit lower on my rankings than some other people, but that's okay. Like I said, there's more room to grow on this list. At number 12, I have Tatum Tuioti from Oregon. You want to talk about a guy that really fell under the radar last year as a legitimate overall NFL prospect. 6'3", 263 pounds. He had a phenomenal year. 9.5 sacks last year, 16 TFLs, 38 overall pressures. He was phenomenal against the run, and he was just a relentless pass rusher. He lacks elite length for the most part. It does look like he has shorter arms and the elite burst, but he really wins through the overall power package and his ability to set the edge and his ability to continue to drive through the overall rep as well. He's someone that the motor is extremely consistent. He's someone that will force his way into the backfield to win a rep. And he doesn't always rely on that. He has plenty of athleticism. It's just not that elite level that you're looking for a guy that you're probably going to wind up taking within the top 75 or the top 100. But man, he is a really, really solid player. And with this Oregon defense continuing to grow, continue to get older and more physically developed in terms of prospects, I really think this defensive line is going to be unbelievable. You have Mateo Uiagalelei on one side, who we're going to highlight in a little bit. You have Bear Alexander. You have Amari Washington as well. I mean, this defensive front, the front four is just going to be unbelievable. And I think that it's going to lead to more chances for both of these edge rushers to eat. But I would like to see him get just a little bit stronger maybe in the top half of his body, thickly built, like I said, compact and strong. I'd like to see him get to an elite level of strength, and I would like to maybe see a little bit more bend around the edge and maybe not rely so much on the power as maybe more finesse, maybe develop a little bit more of those finesse moves. But great player overall. I was very, very impressed with his tape. Moving on to number 11, you have John Henry Daly from Michigan, who was formerly from Utah, did transfer over, and it makes sense. I guess he knew something. I think he transferred before Kyle Whittingham even announced that he was going to come over and become the coach of Michigan. But either way, John Henry Daly was phenomenal last year for the Utes. 6'4", 255 pounds, extremely athletic, relatively lean for his size as well. Good length and explosive movement skills. He was a monster pass rusher last year. 11.5 sacks, elite pressure rate. He's just a phenomenal overall player. So unfortunately, at the end of last year, he did tear his Achilles. So very, very difficult injury to come back from as well. Did kind of, if there is a good time of the season to tear your Achilles, I would probably say towards the end of the year would be the best, because he had about 9 months to recover from it. I don't know, to be honest with you. I didn't check to see if he's even healthy to start the season. But either way, I think as long as he shows that he still has that elite movement skills and that explosiveness off the edge, Michigan is just a factory for defensive players overall. Derek Moore and Jay Barham were two players last year that I really liked quite a bit. And I think John Henry Daly is just someone that's going to continue to develop under Whittingham and under his defensive brilliance that he always shows. But yeah, as long as he could get healthy again, I think this is someone that really showed a ton last year in Big 12 play to moving over to the Big 10. It's just a shame that he did tear his Achilles, but hopefully he could at least play maybe the second half of the season if he still isn't up to speed just yet, and he could show us that he can still play at that explosive level. Because depending on the recovery, look at Jermod McCoy last year. He was someone that probably was a top 10 talent and fell all the way to the first pick of the fourth round because, the degenerative knee thing and the ACL tear. So guys can fall fast because of legitimate medical concerns. But when he is healthy, John Henry Daly is an absolute relentless beast. Moving on inside the top 10, I have Will Helt from Clemson here at number 10. 6'6", 260 pounds long, lean frame with good arm length and room for that functional play strength. I mean, huge arms. I know it's the way that he's standing. It looks like his arms are probably a lot bigger, longer than they are, but long arms regardless. Had a really nice season for Clemson last year. Again, a team that really didn't have too much to celebrate last year. Helt had a phenomenal year. Extremely high motor, versatile edge rusher, can play all over the place. 48 tackles, 15 and a half TFLs, 7.5 sacks in his first season at Clemson as well. He's extremely effective against the run. He plays hard through the whistle. That motor never, ever stops. And he uses that length well to keep blockers off of his frame, which is something that was very, very nice to see as well. So the burst and the bend is a couple things that I would say aren't really up to par with some of the other prospects on this list. But if he wants to become truly an elite pass rusher, he kind of has to work a little bit better on that explosive first step and the overall bend. But I like everything else that I see from Helt. And as long as he can continue to develop, you're looking at someone, see, I have him at number 10, but he's someone that I could easily see, especially with that frame at 6'6", 260, and room to develop as well, room to get even stronger. You're looking at someone that could be a potential top 50 or top 60 pick overall, or at least someone in the first 2 rounds. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of guys on this list that could be top 50 players, top 75 players. It's one of those years. Last year we saw, what did we see a lot of go relatively early? I felt like I saw a lot of tight ends go off the board in the first 3 rounds, and I feel like we could see a ton of edge rushers go off the board this year. And Helt is someone that I think has legitimate upside to become a top 5 or 6 edge rusher in this draft class. At number 9, horrible photo. Do apologize for that. I have Anthony Smith from Minnesota. I love Anthony Smith, man. This is someone that I just think is he reminds me of Gabe Akas from last year as someone that I feel like is just kind of overlooked as someone that he just consistently produces. You know, you look at him and there's nothing about him that's truly elite outside of maybe his power profile because he's huge. He's 6'6", 285 pounds. So right there, I love the alignment versatility potential for him. He could reduce inside. He could play a 5. He could play a 3 in obvious pass rushing situations if you want to get more pass rushers on the field. But he's just a dominant player that is just really awesome year in and year out, and I feel like just consistently gets overlooked. And that's kind of what happened with Akas last year, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with Anthony Smith this year. Huge frame, outstanding length, and NFL-ready size and mass. Last year, he was unreal. 38 tackles, 17 and a half TFLs, 12 and a half sacks. He led the Big Ten in sacks as well. He has the size to play with the hand in the dirt, like I mentioned, with the production to be a serious NFL prospect. I think he's going to continue to get his athleticism. Everything is good about Anthony Smith. That's what I'm saying. He's just a beast. He's a beast overall, but he doesn't have that elite athleticism that you're looking for. But at his size, you know, you're not looking for a guy. I'm not expecting an Anthony Smith that's 6'6", 285 pounds to be someone that could run, you know, a 4.5 or you know, a 4.45, whatever it may be that these long, lean guys. I feel like we're seeing guys run faster than ever the last couple of years. You're not going to get that from him. He's just going to be one of those guys that the athleticism is fine, but everything else is phenomenal. The pass rush ability, the hand fighting, the strength, the size, the length. He's got it all. He's going to be someone that I really do feel like in even and multiple front defenses is going to be a force to be reckoned with at the NFL level. And I think that if he could consistently put up numbers like this, I mean, who knows how high he could truly go. At number 8, I have Matayo Uiagalelei, who we mentioned before from Oregon. You want to talk about a guy that has just outstanding size. Again, we mentioned Anthony Smith a second ago, 6'6", 285. We're looking at Uiagalelei, who's 6'5", 270 pounds, and he has probably one of the best combinations of size and overall athleticism, where Anthony Smith has the size and the strength, where Uiagalelei has an elite combination of size and athleticism and length. Massive athletic player, excellent thickness and movement ability for his size. I mean, he had one of the best plays of the overall season in what was it, the Orange Bowl or the Citrus Bowl, whatever it was against Texas Tech, where he just ripped that ball right out of Will Hammond's hands. It was a fantastic overall play. Just an exceptional player, really continues to produce. Last year, he was great. He had 52 overall pressures last year, continues to develop. He had an interception. I don't remember how, I actually don't have it. Surprisingly, I don't have it listed how many sacks he had last year, but I know that he was incredibly productive. He was productive the year before that as well. He's just someone that has that round one upside. He really does. I thought last year if he would have came out, he probably would have been a top 25 pick. I'm going to kind of double down on that and say that he has that potential again, as long as he continues to produce at the level that he does and he continues to flash that elite athleticism and that elite speed for his size and that game disrupting ability. He's one of the more elite disruptors off the edge in college football, just due to he's the perfect match. He's got the size, he's got the length, the frame. He's not going to be powered at all. He can overpower tackles, but he also can win with finesse and just speed overall. So he's just one of the better players, I feel like, on this list. And again, that just if he's sitting at number 8, that just kind of proves to you how good this class is overall. But my list is obviously a little bit more different than some other people. At number 7, I have Kenyatta Jackson Jr. from Ohio State. 6'6", 265 pounds, really long. I mean, look at the arms on this guy. Phenomenal. He broke out in a big way last year. 28 tackles, 11 TFLs, 6.5 sacks, with all 6.5 of those sacks coming against Big Ten opponents as well. So that's pretty big too, because the Big Ten, I personally think the Big Ten right now is the best conference in college football. Even the teams that aren't that great are still, better than most. So, all those sacks coming against, big time competition. I love that as well. He improved massively with his hands and his power rush while maintaining that athleticism at 6'6", 265 pounds with those incredibly long arms. He's got that athletic frame as well. I mean, this guy is just kind of built. If I were to build a edge rusher in Madden, this is probably the exact frame I would go for. 6'6", 265 pounds is exactly the way that I would go as a run defender a little bit more. And I'd like to see him be a little bit more consistent with that explosiveness off the edge as well. A couple of those sacks were cleanup sacks, coverage sacks. I'd like to see him be the reason why the quarterback is getting sacked just a little bit more. But there is a ton to like about Kenyatta Jackson Jr. overall as a prospect. He's more of a projection than anything, but he is a phenomenal overall player. Moving on to number 6, I have Damon Wilson II, formerly of Missouri, now is over at Miami. Again, just another, first off, he looks like he's like 40 in this photo. I think that's actually the reason why I picked it. Just a bad photo overall. That he looks like he's as old as he is, but 6'4", 250 pounds, incredible length as well. Athletic player, relatively lean, excellent movement skills for his size. He was fantastic. I know Zion Young was on the other side of him last year at Missouri, but he had 9 sacks and 9 TFLs last year. I thought there were moments in time where I was watching Zion Young for the 2026 NFL draft. I was watching Zion Young, and I often found my eyes wandering over to the other side of the defensive line, and I was looking at Damon Wilson II. There was a lot of times where, at least as a run defender, I would say too, he's a little inconsistent as a run defender, but there were some reps, man, where he was absolutely dominant at the point of attack and really setting the edge. But he can get a little bit more consistent with that. His hands can get displaced a little bit too. I would like to say, for his size, I would like to see him get a little bit stronger. He has no problem with bend and overall explosiveness. And the competitiveness is there. The motor doesn't really stop either. He's a really solid overall player. And I think at Miami, man, the defensive line with Justin Scott and Ahmad Moten, on the interior, it's just Damon Wilson is just going to eat, in my opinion. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter. I think he's going to have an Akeem Mesidor type of year for Miami. I really do think that Miami could probably go up against a few NFL teams and give them a little bit of a run for their money. I hate when people say stuff like that, but there's so much NFL talent on Miami's roster this year. It's kind of ridiculous. Moving on to the top 5, I have Yanzi Pierre from Alabama. This guy, absolute beast. I wasn't really about it at first, I'll be honest with you, but then I watched more and more of his reps, and it's it's the disruptiveness. There was a certain rep, geez, I don't remember the team. Oh, I think it was against Florida State, where he came around on a twist and he just blew up the guard and the center and forced a bad throw into an interception by Justin Jefferson. And I was like, man, that is one of the best plays I've seen from an Alabama defensive end since probably Will Anderson. Phenomenal overall player. 6'3, 251 pounds, compact, muscular build, excellent lower body power as well. He made a big jump this past year in 2025. It's 52 tackles, 14 and a half TFLs, 8 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. He was an absolute menace. And with more development this year, hopefully he gets a little bit more meat on his bones and he can get a little bit more consistent with his bend and a deeper, counter. It's one and done. There's no counters in his game. But if he could kind of get a better pass rush plan and he can kind of get a little bit better with his bend, I think you're looking at someone that easily has top 25 upside in this class. Moving on to number 4, we have Quincy Rhodes Jr. here. And I think Quincy Rhodes Jr. again is one of those guys that has a phenomenal overall build. 6'6", 275 pounds. He is just a big, mean, nasty player. He's more of the traditional NFL strong-sided defensive end, but he has a ton of athleticism to rush from wider alignments as well. I mean, you got a 4-3 defensive end running from a wide 9 alignment. I mean, that is extremely scary. He had 8 sacks and 15 and a half TFLs last year. Just really a solid overall player. I have nothing to complain about as a run defender. Can he get more consistent as a run defender and setting the edge? Absolutely. I'm sure everyone can in this draft class as well, but he does an excellent job of it as well. Pass rushing, I believe he had like an 18.9% pass rush win rate last year as well. I've said it time and time again. This Arkansas team is consistently bad, but consistently produces awesome NFL level talent. Last year, they were probably the best 2-10 team in college football history with all the NFL talent they produced, and they have a ton more of it again this year. And Rhodes is just no different than the rest. Like I said, excellent athleticism and length for his size. Him and Uiagalelei are really those two guys with that massive frame that are just outliers, that are just exceptionally athletic and have really, really good movement skills for that overall beastly size. So he just misses out on my top 3 for me. At number 3, I have Cleve Lubin, man, from Louisville. And I don't know if more people need to just see him, but I think Louisville are going to make some real noise this year as a legitimate college football playoff contender. But Lubin is going to be a big reason why, man. He was outstanding last year. Everywhere he goes, he's consistent. He played, I believe he played, what was it, community college ball before transferring to Coastal Carolina. He was exceptional. He had 9.5 sacks there. Then he transferred from Coastal to Louisville last year. His first year in Louisville, 13.5 TFLs, 8.5 sacks, 64 overall pressures. He was absolutely outstanding. He just produces everywhere that he goes. He's a phenomenal overall player. 6'3", 260 pounds, thick, powerful edge body with good mass throughout the lower half. He could win really in any way, shape, or form. I would love to see him get a little bit better as a run defender as well. And I think the athleticism, where obviously 1 and 2 are Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart. I'm not trying to hide anything from you guys. Where those guys have elite movement skills and elite athleticism and a little bit more of a slender build. Lubin's 260, but he doesn't have that elite level athleticism, but he is just relentless. He's a phenomenal pass rusher, and truly, I think he's a top 15 player in this draft class. I'll be quite honest with you now. Unless my evaluations change as the time goes on this season, I really do think he's an unbelievable player that's going to be a game. He's going to have a Malachi Lawrence type of rise this year, where Malachi Lawrence was kind of thought of as a really nice developmental day 3 pass rusher, and then wound up going number 21 overall to the Dallas Cowboys. I think we're going to see something like that with Cleve Lubin this year. You heard it here first. I do have him shockingly high, and this could come back to bite me in the ass, but I think Lubin is a fantastic overall player. Number 2, I have Dylan Stewart. Now, 2 and 1, like I said, shouldn't be any surprise to anyone. And what am I going to say here about Dylan Stewart that hasn't already been said? 6'5", 245 pounds, exceptional length, lean, athletic build, excellent room for additional mass. He has the highest athletic ceiling in the entire class, in my opinion, from the edge rushing position. 6'5", 245, and look at how strong he is. I mean, I know that he's straining in this photo, but that just is a testament to how strong he really is. The arm build is phenomenal. Yeah, just impressive finishing ability as well. The motor is relentless. Consistently as a run defender, he's chasing down running backs from behind. The motor never stops. The dip under blocks, chasing plays. I mean, the guy is just, he tries to win in any way, shape, or form that he can. Some people have character concerns about him. I don't really see the reason for character concerns, to be honest with you. He's a phenomenal overall player, and I think that he can improve overall as his consistency to a week to week basis. There are some weeks where, he'll have 3 sacks and he'll be the best player on the field. And then there'll be a week or two where, you don't really hear his name too often. I think to be that potential top 5 pick or that top 5 talent that we know that he can be, I think you just need to get a little bit more consistent, maybe a little bit stronger. But I mean, the guy is phenomenal, and he's going to clearly be he's a top 10 lock. I mean, I don't really see any way that he couldn't be. And then at number 1, I have Mr. Colin Simmons as well. I think Colin Simmons, kind of similar to, but he's more thickly built than Stewart. Where Stewart is 6'5", 245, Simmons is 6'3", 240, but he looks a lot thicker and stronger than Dylan Stewart as well. Natural leverage, explosive frame. He has plenty of room to add more mass, where I don't even think he really needs to be honest with you. If he could maybe bulk up to 250, that would be cool. 245 is probably fine. He shows pretty much everything is absolutely exceptional from him. One of the more naturally gifted pass rushers in all of college football. Elite first step, outstanding bend, explosive closing burst, advanced hand usage for his age as well. What, he just turned 20 or just turned 21? I think him and Dylan Stewart, I think, are just freshly turned 21. The production and the pressure last year were absolutely phenomenal. Just a player that I think, especially with all of the talent that's around him on Texas this year, maybe even more so than last year, I really do think he's going to have a big time year. I'm talking about double-digit sacks. I'm talking about being a menace in every way, shape, or form. Like I said, I would like to see him get, even though he has great strength for his overall frame, I would like to see him play maybe a little bit stronger. Maybe that's my only gripe with him. But man, I just think overall he's a phenomenal player in terms of the play strength, in terms of athleticism. He's going to light the combine. Him and Dylan Stewart are just going to have a tit for tat on the NFL combine. The 40s, the verticals, the 3-cone drills. These guys, I don't even care about the strength tests at that point. These guys are going to light it up athletically, and I can't wait to see it. But for now, I think I give the slight advantage to Simmons as someone that's probably going to wind up being a top 5 pick if I had to guess. And Stewart probably is too, but Simmons has the better chance to be maybe top 3 than top 5. But either way, I truly don't think that you can go wrong. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are my top 15 edge rushers for the 2027 NFL Draft, my preseason rankings. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and hope I see you in the next one.